BM Khalsa College, Garhshankar, on the role of literature in the present COVID-19 crisis. I welcome you all here. Now I invite Professor Ritu Singh, Professor, Department of Languages, BM Khalsa College, Garhshankar, to formally welcome our today's key speaker. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Professor Kiranjot. A very good morning to all. Warm greetings to everyone present here. Myself, Ritu Singh, Assistant Professor English, Department of Languages, BM Khalsa College, Garshankar. On the behalf of our college, I'm going to welcome you all on this virtual platform. I welcome you. I welcome our today's resource person, respected resource person, Dr. Rajesh Kumar Sharma, our worthy principal, Dr. Baljeet Singh Khera, on this national level webinar on the role of literature in the present COVID-19 crisis. It is a great pleasure to welcome our all the faculty members, all the participants and students who have joined this webinar from the various college, universities, and the all various states from India. I am pleased to announce that we have participants from Gujarat, Rajasthan, Assam, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Chandigarh. So I'm formally going to welcome all the participants in this webinar on this virtual platform. We are conducting this webinar under the patronage of our worthy principal, Dr. Baljeet Singh Khera. Today, we have a very eminent personality amidst us, Dr. Rajesh Kumar Sharma, head of the Department of English at Sikh National College, SPS Nagar. I welcome you, sir. Dr. Rajesh Kumar Sharma is a renowned personality. He is a joint editor of Charan Kamal, a journal of advanced studies. He has published many papers in research journals. He has also edited a book titled Contemporary Literature and Language, a microscopic reading. He has written more than 140 poems and two short stories. He has also delivered an extension lecture. He is a member of various bodies and organizations. He is keen to devote his time to research work and creative writing. Once again, I welcome you, sir, on this national level webinar. Our principal sir has an urgent meeting, so is not able to join us, but he has sent an audio message, which I going to request Professor Kiran Jot to share with all of us. Professor Kiran Jot, please share the audio of principal sir.
Honorable Dr. Rajesh Kumar, Head Department of English, SN College, Banga, resource person of the webinar, and dear Professor Ispal Singh, Head of Department of Language, Professor Ritu Singh, convener of the webinar, and our team members, faculty, and staff member of Babbar Akali Memorial Khalsa College, Garhshankar, and dear participants, good morning to all of you. First of all, I thank Dr. Rajesh Kumar for accepting our invitation to become the key speaker of the webinar on role of literature in the present COVID-19 crisis. I fully appreciate you for finding the time to be with us despite your tight schedule. I congratulate Professor Ritu Singh and Department of Language for taking initiative to organize this webinar. I welcome all the participants. The main objective of this webinar is to provide solace and comfort to the participants. I am confident that this webinar will help to achieve the main objective of the webinar. I request all participants to get maximum benefits from this webinar. Once again, I wish to extend my hearty welcome to Dr. Rajesh and everyone who is present in this webinar and congratulate to the organizing team. Thank you all very much. Stay safe. Wish you and your family good health.
Thank you, sir, for always encouraging us to organize these events. So, without delaying, I would like to invite our today's resource person, Dr. Rajesh Kumar Sharma, to deliver his topic. Over to you, sir.
Very good morning. Hope I'm audible to you all.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
I feel extremely elated for having been invited to deliver the keynote address on the theme of the webinar, role of literature in the present COVID-19 crisis. And for that, I am thankful to the principal, Dr. Baljeet Singh, Dr. Jaspal Singh, HOD, Professor Ritu Singh, convener of the webinar, Professor Navdeep Singh, Professor Kiranjot, and the entire organizing committee. The topic of the webinar, the role of literature in the present COVID-19 crisis, is highly significant under the critical circumstances. Rather, a very appropriate one. And organization of a webinar regarding this theme is a praiseworthy step and a great contribution, I would say, to the afflicted society that is trying to overcome this pandemic. We will here try to see as to how literature can and study of literature can become our mainstay during such adverse times. Here, a couple of lines of W.B. Yeats comes to my mind from his immortal poem, The Second Coming. Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer, things fall apart, the center cannot hold, mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. However, these lines were written in some different context, but these lines can be applied to today's situation also, the gloomy situation in which we find ourselves and the whole of the human society. Everywhere, disappointment and frustration is there everywhere, both at the individual level as well as at the societal level also. So we are facing a huge crisis at this moment, and it looks like as if everything is falling into pieces. Things fall apart here. Especially this line is very much applicable to today's scenario. However, it is a pessimistic note But here and there, it appears as if there are many things which are falling apart. Many people are facing hardships. There is a crisis at the economic level also, and ethical and moral levels also. So it's a really a woeful situation that we find ourselves in, really a calamitous situation of huge proportions coming in form of this pandemic. It has gripped the whole of the world. It is troubling us, and everywhere we are facing problems. Uh, it has become a huge crisis, as is evident from the title of this webinar, both at individual level as well as a human society. No doubt, this is how life is. These ups and downs are bound to be there in our lives. If we go back into history, we see these kind of things happening, these kind of adversities coming to the forefront and troubling us, challenging us. But then it's not that we were defeated. As a human race, we revolted, we protested, and we stood strongly against such problems, such adversities. We fought back. Our history also tells us that, our literature also tells us that we always fought back whenever we were faced with such problems. And we bounced back, we recovered. So that just shows the triumph of great human will, endeavor, and enterprising spirit. We can do the same even now also. This thing can happen even now also. We must understand that the life moves in a cycle where it is rise, fall, rise, fall. This is how these phases of ups and downs continues. So all these odds and adversities are prevailing nowadays also, and individually as well as collectively, it is possible for us to find the ways to fight this crisis, to fight against this problem. Not just this pandemic, but we are faced with other kinds of problems also. Natural calamities are also there. Catastrophes are there. Cyclones are there. Tornadoes are there. Earthquakes, floods. So we are faced with, and we have to encounter many such problems and adversities, including all these epidemics and pandemics. So what we need to do is to show our resilience, resolve, and determination to overcome these tough situations. And that can be done by way of our willpower. Human willpower is very, very strong. It can turn even defeat into victory, into conquest. In this connection, a couple of lines are coming into my mind. How strong human will is, how we can, through our indomitable willpower, we can conquer even a losing situation into a winning one. जीत और हार आपकी सोच पर निर्भर करती है. जीत और हार आपकी सोच पर निर्भर करती है. मान लो तो हार होगी, मान लो तो हार होगी, और ठान लो तो जीत होगी. So if you are determined, if you think you can, then definitely you can come out of any any critical situation. So human endeavor and enterprising spirit makes us achieve anything and everything. We used to say that for people who have great willpower, for them only sky is the limit, but sky is no longer the limit. Those limits have been pushed beyond. The sky of earth, we are no longer confined to that. We have moved beyond our earth. We have made forays as a human society onto the lunar surface, onto the surface of moon. And nowadays, uh, we find ourselves, our presence as a human society, even on the Martian soil also. So not just that, this is only about our solar system. We are even trying to go beyond our solar system also, into the domains of other stars also. Human beings are nowadays thinking about interstellar voyages, interstellar explorations. Well, that would have been unthinkable a few years back. Interstellar space, I mean, travel between stars or among stars. So, just to give you a glimpse of what this interstellar voyage or journey could be like, I would like to tell you that our neighboring star system, Alpha Centauri, is just above 4 light years away from us. It's not a small distance, but in astronomical terms, it's just a neighborhood. But if we make a voyage with our current technology, it will take tens of thousands of years to reach that star and its planets, habitable planets, if they are there. So, what we are thinking in terms of these things, it's a triumph of human will. Somewhere down the line, maybe 1,000 years down the line, who knows, it may be possible. And literature has shown us the way in this regard. Uh, the Time Machine of H.G. Wells comes into my mind. That's a very excellent novel. And that has talked about evolution of time machine, with the help of which we can go backward and forward in time. Now, in those times, it would have been just a mere fancy, a mere imagination. But now scientists are trying to work out to make something like time machine, with the help of which we could go backward and forward in time. That again shows that literature can pave a way, literature and art can pave a way for scientific explorations also. So again, that goes on to tell us about a great and indomitable human will, its power, and its conquest. So when human beings can think big, and so big as to plan even interstellar, something like interstellar explorations, then I think this crisis we are faced with at this moment, this pandemic, I think it's not that huge, not that big. We shall be able to together defeat this uh, uh, disease, this pandemic. So what we need to do is think big, dream big. If we think big, if we dream big, we shall be able to divert our attentions from negativity. And again, literature can come to our help in doing that also. So somebody has beautifully said this, मंजिल उन्हीं को मिलती है, मंजिल उन्हीं को मिलती है जिनके सपनों में जान होती है, जिनके सपनों में जान होती है, पंखों से कुछ नहीं होता, हौसले से उड़ान होती है. So meaning to say that what we need to do is dream. I will come to that a little later also, how there is a great connection between dreams and literature. This is precisely the role literature plays. By promoting in us enterprising spirit, it gives us wings. Literature provides us with wings with the help of which we can fly, with the help of which we can soar into the sky. It gives us wings, invisible though, to fly in the limitless sky of possibilities. That is the great role played by literature. And if there is negativity, I have already talked about that. Negativity can be converted into positivity. This negativity or the atmosphere of negativity we find ourselves locked in is, it can be driven away in many ways. It can be achieved by keeping ourselves in doing what we enjoy the most. If we start doing what we enjoy the most, probably our attention from negativity, from frustration and disappointment would be gone. We will feel better. And of course, example of such activities are social service, honing out one's skills, pursuing one's hobbies, reading literature, etc. Now, I come to here the role that can be played by the study of literature in helping us to grow and evolve, in helping us to sustain. When everything fails, and everything will fail, probably literature will provide us the mainstay. As Matthew Arnold also says in the study of poetry, it is the poetry that will stand by us. He makes a forecast, he makes it.
Due to some network error, our resource person has left. He has joined back.
Okay, there was very sorry. There was slight interruption. So,
No problem.
okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. So, we were talking about how the negativity which we find around us, that can be converted into positivity, and that role is and can be played by literature very well. We were talking about Matthew Arnold's forecast, his prediction that time will come when everything will fail, when even religion will fail. Then only one thing will remain, and it is going to be poetry. Poetry alone will provide us then the much needed help. It will become our mainstay. So he wasn't wrong while he was thinking so highly about poetry. And poetry here can be taken to mean the whole of literature. Poetry itself is a very, very good thing, the best of all literature, the breadth and finest spirit of all knowledge, as William Wordsworth says. But the whole of literature is really very, very helpful for us in dealing with the all kinds of problems. We will talk about them also, how with the study of literature, what kind of problems can be solved, how they can be solved, and how literature can make us constructive, how it can help us in avoiding being destructive. So we will talk about all these things. First of all, as we talk about the importance of study of literature. So in literature, there are various genres are there, like stories, novels, memoirs, autobiographies, biographies, drama, and poetry. You can choose any kinds of work. You can pick up stories, the stories that entertain you, that delight you, like our childhood stories even. We used to study them, and which are taught to children at right at very early age. The stories or the tales taken from Vishnu Sharma's Panchtantra. Even those short stories give us great happiness, give us great lessons. So stories, you can pick up novels. I'm not talking only about one language. Here, the literature can be of any language, can be of any country, can be of any region. That is highly enjoyable. You can and we can relish the literature of any country, any place, any religion, any region. So it is great if you try to read the literature of different languages, of different cultures, of different countries. That will broaden your mental horizon even more. And this is what we do. So novels you can pick up, memoirs, autobiographies. Autobiographies and biographies, they are also very, very important for us. Their reading can be highly motivational. Like Abdul Kalam's autobiography, Wings of Fire, Nelson Mandela's autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom. These kind of autobiographies, they tell us how, in spite of all kinds of problems, impediments, and hardships, it has been possible for a human being to climb to the top of the world, to become great in the service of mankind and humanity. So if you like, you can read autobiographies, then biographies, drama, and poetry. Coming to poetry, poetry is, I would say, personally speaking, poetry, I find poetry to be most motivational of all genres of literature. As I have already talked about it, poetry is the best of literature. You simply like to read poetry, like to hear it, even if sometime you do not understand poetry, still you like to hear it, you like to read it, even if you understand it or not. And when after repeated attempts you are able to understand, and after some difficulties, when difficulty level is gone, you are able to appreciate and understand poetry. It gives you highest possible satisfaction and ecstasy also. So it's not for nothing that William Wordsworth says in his preface to Lyrical Ballads, poetry is the most philosophical of all branches of learning. William Wordsworth says about poetry that it is the most philosophical of all branches of learning. And he says one more thing about glowing thing. He says one more glowing thing. He says about poetry, that poetry is the breath and final spirit of all knowledge. Poetry, whether it is spiritual poetry, mystical poetry, religious poetry, epic poetry, romantic poetry, any kind of poetry it may be. You simply relish it, you enjoy it. So we are trying to be sensitized towards poetry, towards its beauty, right from very early childhood. That's why we are, even in nursery classes, rhymes are introduced. We are introduced to the beauty and aestheticism that is there behind poetry. As a nursery student, you may not know the meaning of those rhymes, but you like to recite them. You draw a great pleasure out of reading and reciting those poems. That is sheer beauty of poetry. So I'm not just here only talking about the beauty of poetry, but beauty of and greatness of literature as a whole. We will have to talk here. All genres of literature, they are a powerful tool. I am saying here, all genres of literature are a powerful tool in promoting overall well-being in us. Literature, as I have already talked about it, it plays a very positive role, a very constructive one, and it can do even more also, emphatically during the ongoing crisis. This is what generally is the function and the role of literature, but it can become even more crucial, more significant during these times. Literature, I would say, literature is an antidote. It is an antidote to various mental and psychological problems. Literature is an antidote, it's a powerful solution to counter the mental problems, the psychological problems. If we read literature, our anxiety, our frustration, our disappointment, all these things would be rooted out, all these things would be driven out, and we will feel lighter and better. Feeling of empathy and sympathy, these virtues are developed into us by way of literature. We come to understand life, we come to know more about life, we come to know even about the working of human mind also, about the human psychology also, about the motives of human beings also. All that happen and can happen because of our study of literature. So I will come back to that thing again. As William Wordsworth says, literature teaches us, it delights us also. That's not a wrong thing. Literature teaches us and delights us. All, we are taught by literature various values, various qualities, and especially our religious literature, our spiritual literature, how it teaches us. We know it very well. We know about the Holy Gurbani, how it teaches us. How our other sacred texts like the Bhagavad Gita, how they teach us. They take the place of Guru, and they are perennial, everlasting Gurus, these books. And they are part of what we call sacred literature, religious or spiritual literature. So not just that, but even otherwise, literature generally also, it teaches us a lot. And its another function is that it delights us. Reading literature, whether it is a story, it's a novel, it's a poetry, drama, autobiography or biography, all these things give us a great pleasure. When we are in a sad mood, in a gloomy mood, we just need to pick up a book. And if we do, we pick up a book, we go through this, and then after some time, even if we read a few pages of that book, we start feeling better. So that is our great interaction with literature. That is the power of literature. That's what literature can do to us. It can uplift us. It can uplift our mood also. So moving on, literature, as I was telling you, it gives us, it instructs us, and it entertains us. As I was telling you, literature instructs us and entertains us. Afterward, there is another very important role played by literature, and it is a greater vision of life is constructed. That is a very, very positive and very healthy function of literature, that literature helps us in building a very powerful, very strong, very happy vision of life. Life in reality may be dull, drab, and boring, but literature gives us an escape route. It for a while becomes a world for us in which we can dwell, like what the romantic poets tried to do. William Wordsworth, John Keats, and other P.B. Shelley, S.T. Coleridge, all of them, they created a world of their own imagination into which they would try to escape. People accuse them of trying to have escaped away from the harsh realities of life. But then it is what it is natural. Everybody seeks a retreat from problems. For a time being, definitely you seek a retreat, a powerful withdrawal from the harsh realities of life. And that's what poetry can do. When poetry constructs and creates a vision of very healthy and happy life, then we feel very happy. Our frustration, our disappointment to a great length is driven out. So, a great vision of life is constructed by literature, and along with that, it heightens our power. It heightens our power of feelings and imagination. The way we feel and what we feel, and our power of imagination, all these things are heightened. So when these things are heightened, so generally speaking, it means that it broadens, literature broadens our mental horizon. It tries to connect us with the vast universe outside. Don't confine us to this world, to this harsh world only, but it takes us beyond also. It tries to take us into a higher reality also. As Aristotle was also of the view that literature tries to not just imitate life, but it tries to take us to higher reality. So this is what literature does. It takes us to higher reality by way of creating a very strong vision. And for a time being, we feel as if we are living in that world for a time being. Because the world of imagination is very powerful, very strong, and very happy one also. Regarding this, John Keats also has said in Grecian Urn, heard melodies are sweet, those unheard are sweeter. Heard melodies are sweet, those unheard are sweeter. I mean, melodies, those songs which we can hear, all right, they are beautiful. But those songs, those melodies which we can't hear, which we just perceive, they are even more beautiful. So, in this manner, a happy vision of life is helped out to be constructed by literature, and in this manner, it heightens, it improves our power of feeling and imagination. And in this manner, when our power of imagination and emotions, imagination and feelings are heightened, then accordingly, our creative power is also improved. We tend to become more creative. More your imaginative power, more will be your creative power. So those who can imagine, those whose imaginative power is very strong, they can be writers themselves. They can be scientists, they can be thinkers themselves. Here, science and literature, they have a common origin. All scientific explorations and the great works of art and literature, they begin with the dreaming, with imagination. Scientists also imagine, they dream about making certain discoveries, and that is a kind of a thing that is done by literature also. So great works of literature and great works of science, they become possible only by way of strength of the vigor of our imagination power, imaginative power. So literature takes us to, as I'm talking about here, how literature nurtures our imaginative power. It takes us to fairyland, to distant and charming lands. It then, by way of doing so, it relieves us from pain. Even in Sailing to Byzantium also, that a remarkable poem written by W. Yeats, he tries to escape to the world of harsh reality, to that world where he thinks perfection is there, where no sadness and sorrow is there.